Hello, welcome. So today we're going to have a little dig through r/malicious compliance. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in listening to today, please do stick around and enjoy. And don't forget to like and subscribe, please. Thank you. Okay then, first post posted by Bright Rick. Customer always found a mistake, so we complied. This goes back to around 1990s. I was an independent designer for a few different printing businesses in the south suburbs of Chicago. Back then, computers were fairly new and print shops were still old school. Those inserts you found in newspapers, they were still hand-lettered back then. I'd design brochures and flyers, laser print proofs, scan photos. A 150 DPI HP scanner was $1,200. That's like $5K today. Wow. And so on. Anyway, one of the print shops had a customer that always found an error, would demand a new proof and not authorize the job until he signed off on the new proof. Every single time. This line is crooked. This word is too dark. And so on. So we came up with a solution. I'd do two proofs. One was the original, accurate one. The other had an obvious intentional mistake. He'd catch the mistake and ask for a new proof. He'd be told to come back in an hour. It was usually a day or two. He'd come back and be shown the second proof. He approved it every time. Demand that there's always a mistake? Here you go. I love that. It's just like, I bet there wasn't even any mistakes. I bet that it was just someone who liked to moan. So down in the comments, High Throughput says, in software terms, called a duck, a feature added for no other reason than to draw management attention and be removed, thus avoiding unnecessary changes in other aspects of the product. This started as a piece of Interplay corporate law. It was well known that producers, a game industry position roughly equivalent to PMs, had to make a change to everything that was done. The assumption was that subconsciously they felt that if they didn't, they weren't adding value. The artist working on the Queen animations for Battle Chess was aware of this tendency and came up with an innovative solution. He did the animations for the Queen the way that he felt would be best, with one addition. He gave the Queen a pet duck. He animated this duck through all of the Queen's animations, had it flapping around in the corners. He also took great care to make sure that it never overlapped the actual animation. Eventually, it came time for the producer to review the animation set for the Queen. The producer sat down, watched all of the animations. When they were done, he turned to the artist and said, "That looks great. Just one thing. Get rid of the duck." I love that, but also that's quite funny that people literally will put in purposeful mistakes in industries like that just to avoid the bosses being like, oh, you need to take this out, just because what they need something to do so they don't look like they sit around picking their bums all day. Next post, posted by Farturn9771. Boss said I can't just disappear from my desk, so now I send him a message every time I leave. We had a team meeting where my boss said people are just getting up and disappearing without telling anyone, and it's unprofessional. So now I message him on Teams every single time. Stepping away for the restroom, going to grab coffee, printer run. I don't wait for a response. I just let him know. Last week I sent him 9 messages in one day. On Friday he replied, "You don't need to tell me every time you move." And I said, "Just wanted to make sure I'm being professional like you asked." He hasn't brought it up since. I'd go on further. I'd be like, "Just popping off for a fat poo, boss." "Oh, boss, my guts are rumbling. Gotta go." So down in the comments, Important Art 4892 says, I had a boss like this too, that tried to keep tabs on me, so would put a message up that said things like, going to the bathroom, going to get aspirin, going to get feminine product for my car, etc. She finally caved and said, just put up a message if I'm going to be gone for any significant length of time. Ha! And then none of Dubov says, define significant. Exactly, you could really take the piss with that and be like, but you didn't say what was significant, and I did not think that half an hour was significant, sorry. Don't actually do that though, that may end up in you being fired. Next post, posted by Major Noodles. If you won't ship to me because my drive is less than an hour, then I'll make it an hour. I work from home for a company that makes software for mobile devices. Oh, really? Could you perhaps ask them to stop putting AI in everything? Perhaps? Of course, a lot of the work I do requires having the physical devices. If I needed a specific one, I'd put in a request and they'd ship it to me. However, recently one of my requests to ship it was denied, and I was told that I'd have to pick it up. Their reasoning: I live within an hour of the office, so I'm expected to come in to get them myself. The problem is, if you look up the drive on Google Maps, it takes under an hour. Just barely. But only if you look it up at like 2 in the afternoon, or in the middle of the night when no one is driving. If you look it up during normal commuting time, it's never less than that. I'm writing this at 7 AM and it's at 1:15. In 30 to 45 minutes, it's gonna be even worse. I asked if I could just pay for the shipping myself, since it would be cheaper for me to do that than pay for gas and parking. Nope, gotta come in. So now I come in, I take lunch and then head in. At 1 in the afternoon, I get what I need and immediately leave. It takes me just under 2 hours total, and because I'm only running in for a few minutes, I can leave my car in front of the building and not have to buy parking. 2 hours that I would normally spend doing work, I am now spending in my car. For some reason, I'm now back on the approved list for shipping. Honestly, these companies trying to penny pinch and then they actually end up losing themselves money. It's so funny to me. Ha! So down in the comments, Needles of Gold says a phrase comes to mind: penny wise, pound foolish. And then Purple Muscogy says, when working at a university in the UK, we had a lecturer who was normally based in France, but would come in for 2 to 3 weeks to the UK to deliver his lectures. The university would pay for his transport to and from the campus, so a plane ticket or the Eurostar, whichever was cheapest, and his accommodation in a cheap hotel near the campus. The policy was that they would not pay for his accommodation during the weekend since he was not working. He kept asking them if they would make an exception and showed them that it was cheaper for them to pay for a hotel on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday rather than his transport back to his flat in France, and he was happy to stay and spend the weekend in the UK. They just wouldn't do it, even though they were spending more to send him back home every weekend. And then, next post, posted by Something Clever, a stupid policy was formed as an overcorrection. I was written up for enforcing it. A few years back, when I was a team lead in a call centre for a bank, our building was secure, but policy required any personal information for ourselves or customers be locked up along with obvious things, like passwords anytime we weren't at our desks. A separate compliance group would do random desk checks periodically, and violations would result in a write-up for the individual, which also rolled up to leadership. Us team leads were responsible for completing the checks and were frustrated despite our being the ones responsible for the nightly desk checks. One of my peers had the suggestion that no personal information, including photos, knickknacks, that sort of thing, should be allowed out except for the small shelf everyone had in their cubicle. Ah yes, no fun, no joy, nothing personal, just nice, lovely, daily, soul-sucking blandness. The person making this suggestion was a friend and was one of the closers who had to do these checks on a regular basis. I was not and only had to do these on weekends. I said something to the effect of, "That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That's an overcorrection and no one is going to follow the policy and it's just making our jobs more difficult." I was written up the next day by my boss, who wasn't there, as her boss was part of that discussion and wanted me disciplined. Oh, and of course, not only soul-sucking blandness in the workplace, but have an opinion and you're written up. I hate the way this world works on a whole, honest to God. I observed nearly no one outside of my team was complying by their ridiculous policy. That Saturday, when it was my turn for desk checks, I wrote a detailed breakdown of every single violation. There were dozens. I kept my feelings on the policy out and stuck to the facts. Monday, I was put on a formal warning. That manager wondered why everyone hated her, wasn't sad when she left, or empathised when she was laid off. So, down in the comments, Shadow Dragon 8685 says, sounds like you need to take that formal warning along with a copy of the stupid policy to HR and tell them that you are not taking kindly to being written up for checks notes following company policy. Honestly, it's so stupid. So then the OP says, this was all years ago, but another post from this sub came up in my feed and reminded me of this incident. Previous contact with HR about inconsistent application of company or department policy didn't get me anywhere, and I didn't have the energy to try again. Had it led to termination, I'd have probably explored my options, but it didn't come to that. So, last post from Malicious Compliance, and then we might have to find a post from somewhere else because I've read through these quite quickly. So this one was posted by Think Committee 4394. What list? So, many years back, I was a buyer and material controller for a company that produced very specialised tech. As happens with such companies, we were bought by a larger company in our field and merged with another similar company the big guys had bought the year before. Much drama there, but not this drama. It finally came time for our production department in our own building to be closed and everything moved to the big company's facility. The entirety of our stocks and equipment was cherry-picked for what Big Co wanted transferred, and the rest was written off. Stock was transferred, signed out from our shop floor, and counted into theirs. But when it came to the giant pile of written-off assets, test gear, and other tooling, I was told specifically not to bother listing any of it, and they would sort everything at their facility, scrap what they didn't want, and keep any tools or test kits that passed their highest standards. So, I didn't. And then the queries rolled in. When all the test gear came down, did they take the multimeter? No idea. Well, did the screwdriver set come here? Can't give you any helpful info. Sorry. What happened to the racking? And the only truthful answer I could give was that when the transport came up to collect the reject pile, the guys took everything that was still on the shop floor, and as I had been specifically instructed to no longer track or control the movements of any of that expensive gear, I hadn't. I had specifically not noticed if any staff or engineers dropped by to see the sad end of our production floor, and I made a point to not see them walking off with anything. So, down in the comments, Sevastine says, I'm currently sitting in a Herman Miller Aeron chair from a previous employer who closed that location. When it's closed off, if you could find a manager to sign for it, you could take it home. The managers were about as strict as you'd expect during their last few weeks. Side note, that was more than 15 years ago and the chair was already 15 years old. I finally had to replace the gas cylinder last year, but the rest of the chair has lasted. And then Different 1265 says, best chairs on the market. I had two fixed that had passed their 12-year warranty mark. Well worth it. If anyone ever sees one that needs fixing, buy it and pay for the repair. Those chairs new sell for over $1,000 US. Flippin' heck, that's an expensive chair. Here's me sat in my £65 gaming chair. I'm so skint. Okay, so I think what we'll do now is we'll read an Am I Overreacting? And hopefully that'll fill in the time, but if not, we might read someone else too. We'll see. I'm going through the dregs of posts that I've not read and they've kind of just got left behind. Anyway, so this one was posted by OKBat5934. Am I overreacting? Father's girlfriend's rules for when the new baby arrives. Rules for when baby blank is earthside in 9 short weeks. This post will stay pinned to my profile as I have done this with my other 2 kids as well. 1. No visitors unless it's run past both of us. Fair. 2. Please, no holding, touching, or kissing my baby. Fair enough. 3. Please do not bring other children or other babies around before Bubs is at least 6 weeks old. My firstborn caught RSV as a newborn, and I don't want to go through that again. Fair enough. 4. Do not come by unannounced. Always call first. Fair. 5. No posting pictures or taking pictures without my consent or knowledge. Again, I think this is fair. Like, I'm not reading anything yet, which I think is unfair. 6. Respect feeding times. Fair. 7. Most importantly, no vax, no visit. Very fair. As I've always said, for those who feel like they are above or refuse to respect my rules, will either be asked to leave at once or simply just wait the 6 weeks to come over. I don't think any of this is unreasonable, honestly. You know, if the new parent doesn't want people touching or kissing their baby because they're probably worried about like nasty germs, and I'm guessing just by the fact that they're worried about RSV, that baby's born during like viral season, all of this sounds pretty fair to me, I'm not gonna lie. Now, of course, I do recognise that these are very sort of strict rules. It wouldn't work for every family. You know, some family members might see their arse about this, but at the end of the day, I'm a massive advocate for doing whatever a new parent thinks is best for their child, within reason. Obviously, if they decide that they want to do something that would probably be dangerous for their child, yeah, that's probably time for someone to intervene. But if they are just having these rules in place because they are either a new parent and they know they're going to be overwhelmed and they don't want their house being bombarded, that is fair. If they're worried about the child getting poorly because, you know, the season, or just in general because they are very delicate little creatures, I think that's fair. And we should be very purposeful with how we treat new parents and being very respectful of the boundaries they put in place, because most of the time they are just doing their best and what they think is best. And they're not trying to be spiteful. They're just trying to stay healthy and not get overwhelmed. And I think that that is absolutely okay. Am I overreacting? My F25, father's M45, girlfriend F26, okay, has set rules for when their baby arrives. I'm not against rules being set, as I am currently 3 months postpartum. I'd like to preface by saying that I have 5 siblings and almost no relationship with them all due to them being half siblings and our parents having differences. Another thing to add is I have an awful relationship with my father's partner. We have opposing views on absolutely everything. She broke up with my father twice last year and fell pregnant as soon as they got back together the first time. She has caused an incredible strain on my father and I's relationship. He was also a single parent. Rule 3. I am a single mother who lives alone, so I can't bring my son. I can't visit. I'm in Australia, so it's not RSV season. Okay. We are both up to date with our vaccines, and my son is booked for his 4-month vaccines 3 weeks before the baby is due. Rule 2. If I can't even hold or touch my brother, what would be the point of visiting and leaving my son with someone? The girlfriend is still and will continue to smoke. Okay. So beforehand, I would have got these rules. I would have understood not wanting people to be all hands all over a brand new baby with how crap their immune systems are. I would have got that. It's not virus season, but you know, viruses still pass around. I have 2 kids. I know what they're like for being little petri dishes. It doesn't matter what time of year it is, they will pick something up. There will always be some sort of germ flying around your house, so I get that. But if she is saying that she doesn't want people putting their hands all over her newborn baby because, you know, obviously worried that it's going to get the baby ill, but then she's still smoking and will continue to smoke, is she not concerned about the effect that the secondhand smoke, even having like smoke on your hands when you've been smoking and it's all over your hands and then touching a baby is not good for them? It's toxic shit in there, you know, and it sticks to your hands. So it's a little hypocritical for her to be like, yeah, I don't want you to touch my baby because I'm going to assume because of germs, when she is smoking and will continue. And concerning she's smoking during pregnancy as well. And occasionally drinks. Oh, lovely. So again, why would me holding my brother before 6 weeks be so bad? I have spoken to my father about these rules and he said they don't apply to me, but that was without talking to his partner first. I'm concerned that once the time comes, he's going to go back on his word. I'm also worried that if I follow these rules and don't visit, she will then kick up a stink about how I didn't check in on them. She didn't check in on me and lied to my dad about not being able to visit, so she didn't have to. She has 2 children of their own, one in primary and one is childcare. Would they not be a concern for getting the newborn sick? I mean, yeah, of course they would. Again, I know what it's like when you've got more than one kid. Even one kid on its own will bring enough germs around your house. But yeah, as soon as they're in school and childcare, oh my life. Yeah, like I say, I would understand the rules, but I mean, if they're contradicting the rules themselves, it seems very silly. Anyways, I know it's not my baby and it's their choice ultimately, but after having a baby and rules myself, I think they just aren't fair to apply to me. Thing is though, with that, literally everyone's going to be like, oh, but you know, the rules shouldn't apply to me. And if that's the case and everyone says that, then what's the point in having the bloody rules? Like, obviously, if a parent's making a rule, it applies to everyone, not just some. I don't know, happy for all opinions. Am I overreacting and overthinking? I'm on the fence with this one because I understand the need for new parents to have rules. But I think mainly because obviously I have had my own kids, so I understand the need to put in some harsh boundaries when they are newborn. Luckily, I have family that respected them, any boundaries that I did put in, and I didn't go overboard or anything. But yeah, very interested to see what you think on this one. I am torn. So, Faroven5415 says, contact her when the baby is born to congratulate her, say you're dying to see the baby but respect her boundaries and we'll see them in 6 weeks. She can't be upset by that. Yeah, exactly. And I would make sure that when you contact her, do it in like a group chat and include your dad. So she can't say that you haven't been in touch. The proof will be in the pudding then, won't it? So there's no way then that if she is trying to use these rules to just kind of like keep the OP's dad's other children away, at least then you have proof that you tried, you know, and that you put out that olive branch, I suppose. So, Hey Soul Blister says, this sounds sensible. I would also do the same with your dad, just so you have record of contacting both, and you're following their wishes. Exactly. Okay, so I think that's where we're going to leave it for today. If you made it all the way to the end with me, then I appreciate you very, very much. If you give a little like, subscribe, notifications on, that'll be your initiation into the Governor Void. Welcome. Whatever it is you're doing for the day, I hope you have a really good rest of the day. Goodbye. Oh, and tell me what you're having for dinner. Comment for Big Al. All the things.